Hello and welcome to another Bodgit and Leggit video. Now we have a strange one for you today. We have two gearboxes behind me and we have a 2007 Toyota Corolla Verso stuck on my list with no gearbox in, 1.6 VVTi. Now this car's had a lot of messing with the gearbox and all sorts going on. Then you come to someone has sealed the gearbox and not sealed it very well. As you can see, look at all the oil. So we're now going to have to figure out what's going on there. They've put the wrong bolts in, that's not the right bolt. They've bent brackets and done all sorts from the top. Look what else they've done. Spaced out bolts with loads and loads of washers. Damaged the seals. Just welded bolts here. I mean, why? So this now is turned into a complete and utter nightmare. Because some of the bolts are missing, some of the bolts are rounded, some of the bolts are wrong, some of the bolts are welded, packed out. Oh, why? Also, can you see the bolt here? Look at that. Not even tightened in, so I guarantee you that's too long and that's been just pushed all the way to the end of the threads. It's not tight at all. So I tried to find a gearbox, couldn't find one. I did find one from one scrapyard. He wanted way too much money for it, more than the car is worth, and delivery, and I couldn't check it, and I had to pay for it before, and if it wasn't right, it's just a nightmare. So I've done a lot of digging. I know more about these gearboxes now than I ever thought I'd ever know. This is the Verso gearbox, and this is a C215. This is an Avensis gearbox, and this is a C50. Now, as you can see, they do look different. The bell housing is different, but what I'm hoping is, again, fingers crossed, all the checking I've done, the gear ratios are the same. We do have a slight issue with, obviously, the bell housing is different. This is a 23 spline drive shaft, and the Verso is a 20 spline drive shaft. So what I was hoping was, one of the pictures and the research I was doing, the bell housing looked the same as this one, but now, for some reason, I don't know if this is a weird one, but anyway, the bell housing is wrong. There's a few other things I've noticed too. This is the gear linkage. You can see how much of a gap there is here. And when we look at this one, why is that there? Let's get this. Oh yeah. This is a lot shorter. Now, everything else from the bell housing back looks to be exactly the same. The Avensis Speedo works off the diff, where this one works off the ABS sensor. So, the splines are the same internally, the clutches are the same, everything else is the same apart from the bell housing and the differential. Right, so what I'm hoping to do is swap the bell housing around, swap the diff around, and then put it in the car. And hopefully it's going to work. Now, I have asked everybody, and I mean everybody, people on YouTube, people I know, just everybody. No one knows if it's going to work. No one's ever done it before from the looks of things. They would be stupid enough to do it more like. And yeah, I'm just trying to save the customer literally like 500 euros. Even with my bit in, it's still going to be a hell of a lot cheaper. Is it going to work? We're going to find out. I'm going to do my best. Now, this is the diff out of the car. That's all I've done is taken it out. There's a couple of good signs. We still have this gear on here which works the speedo. This car doesn't have a speedo anymore, so that's a good sign. So in other words, it looks like they haven't really changed too much. Now, inside the gear, inside the actual gears, we have the sun gear here and the planet gears here. The sun gears of what holds the splines in place. So this has the 20 spline drive shaft going into it, where that one has the 23 splines. So hopefully we can just change the bell housing and change this, because the bell housing is completely different, plus it's a lot longer. But the bolts along the outside of the casing are the same. So we should just be able to change it. If this is the case, this is going to be a great option for everybody out there, because the Avensis gearbox is a hell of a lot cheaper than the Verso gearbox, and yet the internals are the same. So, with a little bit of messing, not too much, should be able to save an absolute fortune. Now, I've already split this gearbox because of how I've taken out the diff, but I haven't done the Avensis one yet. So, I'm just going to do all the ringer bolts, then we'll crack it open together. You do have to be careful. I'll just show you. Remove this Allen key here. I think it's that one. and take the springs out just for the selectors. And then I'm just gonna crack all the rings around and we're gonna see if this bad boy comes off. And then when I'm cracking it open, I'll turn the camera back on. No point you see me undo bolts. Just in case you're thinking, why am I changing the gearboxes? Listen to this. Heard that? Now this. That's why we're doing it. Look what I've just found. Leaking here and here, and this is broke. I didn't see it as I was taking it off the truck, but not to worry, we can just swap it with our other one. Now, I've taken all the ringer bolts off. There is a gear linkage cable with two 12mm bolts just here. You have to take off. You can only split the gearbox just over ½ an inch, and then it won't go anymore. I can't show that on camera because I just can't get in there. It's just too dark. But yeah, so once I've split that and taken off them 2 bolts, let's see if it fits, or are we in trouble? It's going to be very hard to see, but at the minute it's looking really, really good, people. Everything looks identical. The bracket here that I was telling about, the 12mm bolt there and the 12mm bolt there, that's all in the same place, the same, everything looks identical at the minute. So fingers crossed we're going to be okay, because I'm kind of playing with a lot of money here and it could all go tits up. So I'm going to undo them and then we'll see. I'm excited, people. It looks identical. This is the thing that was bolted onto the casing. This is the other one I took off the other car, or the other gearbox. As you can see, identical. I'm going to keep that one with this one. Chuck this one over here. There's the diff, and like I said, the diff, for all intents and purposes, looks identical, except for the sun gears, which have 23 teeth rather than the 20 teeth. And like I also said, inside the gearbox, you can see, or inside the bell housing, you can see the wheel right there, which controls the speedo, which works off the diff, but it has it on the old one as well, even though it's not even used. So that tells me they're using the same parts. We know 100% the clutch is the same. What I was originally going to do was just get the cups, get the drive shafts and swap the cups around so the 23 splines will fit onto the drive shafts of the Corolla. But that won't work because the cups are completely and utterly different. They won't seal, it just unfortunately won't work. So we had to then go down to the diff, but we could have had, well, we still could, I haven't checked. We could have potential problems. Will the diff line up with that? Is it bigger? Do I have to just go in and change the sun gears? Worst case scenario, I'm just going to come in here, strip out the sun gears and change the sun gears. I've also got to be careful. Does the drive shaft fit into the back of the casing? It's going to fit the front because we're going to take the front off, but will it fit the back? So the first thing I need to do is take this off. Get me drive shaft. Will this fit in here and seal properly? Oh, yes! Whoo! It does! I'm a genius. Not yet. Does this fit? Oh, same bearing, same everything. Look at that. Ha-ha. Obviously, I can't really spin this because nothing's tightened. Oh, beautiful. Same bearing, same absolutely everything. Oh. What I will do is just going to get the verniers out and I'm just going to make sure that the bearings are the same, because I don't know if this cup here is going to accept that. So once I get, it feels like it is, but I'm just going to double check that. I can't see them changing too much, because why redesign and re-engineer this? It doesn't make sense. They've already got one. So let's take off this one. We take off this housing first. Some great news, people. They look absolutely identical. Just got to measure the caps or the bearings, they look absolutely perfect. Now the center one, unfortunately, is completely different. Right, I'm going to have to see if I can take that out, the old one, and put it in. So what I'm going to do is going to do a few more measurements, just see if I see anything wrong. We'll turn the camera back on and we'll continue. Sometimes you have to live dangerously. I even flush the toilet before I finish. That's danger. It's looking great, people. This is the old bearing out of the old box, because obviously this shaft is a lot thicker. Lucky enough, it does change. This is our casing with our bearing in. I just need to put the bolt and the thing back. But yes, it fits. So it works. The only thing we've got to worry about now is the throw of our gears. So we're going to have to take this off. Everything down there looks the same. So I'm going to take both of them off. We're going to compare them to see if they're the same. If they're the same, I've got to obviously clean all this, put it all back together, seal this. Jobs are good and sorted. So it's possible to change an Avensis gearbox to a Toyota Corolla Verso. And this one is a million times better than the other one. Sorted. One thing I have noticed in part is different. The different on the top, so we'll have to check that out. I've already removed that top bolt, so let's just see what it looks like from here. Right, so we know it's physically bigger. As regards here, you can see the throw, it sticks out a lot more. But does it match up internally? And I have to say, apart from the shaft being a bit longer, it's about there. Sorry, about there. Only a tiny bit longer. Everything else appears to match, which is awesome, people. This should hopefully just go right into place. Oh, it does. It's a tiny bit longer, the shaft, but the most important thing is, look. Oh, yes. It fits. So obviously, let's just get you down here. Hope you can be able to see the gear changes. Ah, yeah, there we go. That's the most important thing. Does it hit that? It does. Comes back. Oh, took it out. All right, I've just kind of got it back in. I've just put a bolt in there just to keep it in place. But as you can see, it pushes everything down it needs. Changes gear. Does everything it needs to do. That is absolutely awesome. The shaft is slightly longer than the other one, so we can just shave a bit off the edge. Obviously, the machining inside here hasn't been machined as far, but that doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's going to work. Absolutely awesome. Where else are you going to get this? Who else is going to be stupid enough to do this? No one. But if you want to do it, I wouldn't. But you now know how to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean all this, clean inside the case, put it all back together. Don't forget to put this gear selector back. I'm going to obviously put the 20 spline diff in. And yeah, we're good to go. Right, it looks like Toyota has got us, or have they? The problem is, you can see from the gearbox here, this is the bolt that came from top of the selector. And this is the bolt that came from top of the selector on the Toyota Corolla Verso. A lot bigger, and it has a ball at the end. Now, so with two options, we either drill this bigger, tap it, that's one option, but I don't have big enough taps or dies or taps and drill bits, so I'm not going to go near it. What I'm going to do instead is dismantle the old shaft, which I've already done, and I'm just going to fit this on, which will then line up with my new bolt. Everything is exactly the same shape, exactly the same length, absolutely nothing's different. The only thing I'm hoping is, are the splines on this shaft the same as the splines on that shaft? So, it's very easy to get off. Circlip and 2 split pins. This is the old one that came off the old shaft, absolutely perfect. Not worried about that. This is that came off, as you can see, absolutely perfect, same length, same everything. Not worried about that. Drive out the pin. Might be getting in the way there. Now the moment of truth. Who's going to win, me or Toyota? Answers on a postcard. And the winner is Toyota. No, the winner isn't Toyota. What they've done differently is they've put 2 flats on this one and only 1 on the other one. Where is the flat? Can we... What I can do is, I can put that on, put this case on, line that back up, put this case on and just chop off that there, and that will actually do me. Then the bolt can catch in this case and we are sorted. So we still win in the end. Just that has to be that way. So this has to go on like this. There we go. Lovely. So we just chop off that and we're done. No point me showing you that, but yeah. Oh, I love it. We're winning. Not very well. What happened was this part belongs to the old one, and as you can see, it's completely smooth at the top. And this ball ran in the special groove that I've just cut off this. But then the casing, this is the casing for the old one, as you can see, is completely open and it's got a place for the ball to actually sit on. So what I ended up doing was I used the original casing out of the Avensis box. That allowed me to use the original screw. I used the original one of these, but I cut the special thing off. So I kind of used bits and bobs of both of them, and it's absolutely perfect. So that hopefully explains that a lot better. Boom, there we go. Look at that, beautiful. Cut off that, everything's the same size, but now the bolt will fit down there, so we've nothing to worry about. I am going to have to make a spacer for this, a couple of mil spacer, because if I screw it in all the way, it just gets stuck. So a little spacer, seal both sides of it, and it's going to be absolutely fine. So we can just, we know this is going to go in because it's exactly the same fittings that came out of this box. So I'm really not worried about that. Just let me get this in line. There we go. You can see what I mean about the spacer. It just needs to be spaced out a couple of mil, but There we go, people. Oh, yes. Absolutely beautiful. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to clean all this up. I'm going to get a couple of washers for that for the minute. Just clean it all up, get all the crap out, seal it, put the diff in, and make sure everything is okay before I kind of do that. And then that's it. Right, okay, it's all back together. Spinning nice, not making any noise. No rattles, no bangs, no play in the bearing. Still got to make my little bracket or my little spacer for that. And we took off this as well. As it turns out, we didn't need to, but as you can see, it was still okay, but I just didn't like that. There was only a couple of bolts, so it wasn't a big deal. And this is ready to go back in. So, it'll take me a few hours, but it's going to be a few seconds for you. See if it drives. I'm in the car. I know this is not a proper test yet, but the gearbox is in. It's just got one engine mount. It's got the gear linkages connect up and the clutch. So let's just press the clutch. I'm kind of scared. Oh yeah. Never scared. Right. Let's just see if it goes into gear. I know this doesn't mean it's going to drive. It just gives a good indication if there's any stickiness anywhere. First gear. Second. Oh yeah. Third. Fourth. Fifth. And reverse! Right everybody, it's in, it's looking good. I've just got to put the bar across and the engine mounts. All the engine mounts fit, the drive shafts fit, but we knew they would because I put the proper diff back in it, but they all line up. It's full of oil, it's not leaking, it spins, absolutely lovely. Just put the earth cables back, a couple of more bolts up there. It's looking good, ready for the first drive. This Frankenstein of a gearbox. Right, this is the moment of truth. We're going to see. I have faith in me completely. We have just completely redesigned a gearbox, put it in a car. I don't see the problem with that. I think it's just going to work well. Let's find out. So, does it start? Foot on the clutch. It starts. Gear. Forwards. It moves! It moves! It moves, people! It moves! No, that's really smug face now because a lot of people say, you can't do that. It can't be done. It's done! Yes! Awesome! Absolutely awesome. Real proper old school mechanic in here. Forget about changing parts. Forget about even getting the right parts. We'll make it fit. We will make it fit. Sorted. Whew. I need to put the bonnet down and actually take this for a drive to see if it actually goes through all the gears. So I'll let you know when I get back. If you see me pushing the car, you know we're in trouble. Oh yeah! See, this is proper mechanics now. You know, none of this swapping parts, changing parts. We've made our own. Sorted. All right, let's do this together. First gear. Second gear. Third gear. Fourth gear. Fifth gear. I know I'm not going fast enough, but I'm holding the phone. Fifth gear. Sorted. That's done. Again, I've left, well, the engine light is on because I started it without the air filter sensor on, and yeah, the engine light's on. But don't worry about that. As you can see, look at this bad boy. Absolutely perfect. We will take out the engine light for him. That's fifth gear now. Sorted. You know, if I don't show this, someone's going to say, well, it's your gearbox, that's why your engine light's on, because we know everything. As you can see, airflow meter. Let me just erase the code. Erase the code. The code is erased and the gearbox works. Yeah, yeah. Ha, ha, ha. I did what everyone said couldn't be done. And there we go, it's absolutely perfect. I've tested this vehicle, I've let it go hot and cold, good few cycles, driven it a good few miles, and absolutely 100% perfect. If there was going to be an issue with the gearbox, there'd be an issue straight away, because if a gearbox isn't balanced and done properly, it's going to vibrate straight away. It's not going to give you any warning, it's just going to do it. So absolutely fine, no leaks, no rattles, no bangs, changes gear beautifully, and all is good. And here are all the parts we either changed, swapped, modified, or left over. Now, I really do love doing this sort of stuff, because you come across a problem, you figure it out, you overcome it, and it works. There's nothing really better than to do that, in my opinion. Things like, you can see that these gearboxes certainly aren't as good as the older gearboxes. Like, the bearings are smaller. What I mean by that is, because the diameter of the shaft is bigger, it makes the meat of the bearing smaller. The older bearing, even though internally it's smaller, but the bearing's a lot thicker, there's a lot more of it, it's just a lot more substantial. Where in this newer box, the bearings are just, nowhere near as strong, and that's why I think they have a lot more problems than the other boxes. I haven't really had any issues with Avensis gearboxes, but there's a lot of issues with these Verso gearboxes. So as you can see, all the bits, the real nightmare is that there. That's what bolts onto the bell housing, two 12mm bolts, and it's just a nightmare. That's the old case that came, was broken. But yeah, so there we go. I really do love these type of problems. Overcoming a problem, fixing it, it works. You can't say more than that. So that is it, people. Sometimes you have to think out of the box and just get the job done no matter what. And coming up against issues, people saying it can't be done, people laughing at you and everything, you just ignore them and you just do it. And it works out absolutely fine. Right, so been about nearly 2 weeks now, and absolutely perfect. Customer absolutely loves it. I spoke to him a couple of days after just to make sure everything was okay, and I did find an interesting thing. When I did all my research, as much as I possibly could do, from all the different websites, it's difficult because they're all kind of saying different things, but the gear ratios all kind of seem to be the same. So that's why I went for that particular box. Now, the customer didn't tell me this at first because he had no reason to, but he was never happy with the gearbox. In fifth gear, it seemed like it was screaming. Because this essentially is a 7-seater and more of a kind of a soccer mum's van, if you'd like, and you know, so it's just kind of made for short runs, not really cruising. So in fifth gear, it was kind of revving high. The Avensis gearbox fifth gear is slightly longer, so he's really happy because obviously it's brought the revs down for cruising, you know, doing kind of longer journeys. It's not screaming so much, which means it's safe fuel and everything. So actually, there's so much better. The Avensis gearbox is so much better. Bigger bearings, better fifth gear, absolutely everything. It's perfect. He's happy with it. Hasn't come back to me. I'm happy with it, and it's just been one of them kind of experiences. It's been great. So look, hope it helps. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget, links up here, links down below, but most importantly, don't forget, get your hands dirty. See you for the next one. Sorted.